Hello stampers, Kelly Acheson at AStampAbove.com coming to you from Menasha, Wisconsin. Today I'm going to share a fun and easy technique with you called collage stamping, and I haven't done this in a long time, so I was really excited to be able to play with this technique again. I am going to be using the Seaside Wishes beautiful stamp set. This is on our last chance list right now. It is going to be retiring. This set is part of a bundle, and it's part of a hybrid bundle. You not only get dies, but there's also an embossing folder where the dies coordinate with the sand dollars that are in here. So you can take this big die, whoops, let's see if I can get it out of here. There we go. This big die actually coordinates with the embossing folder, so you can put your cardstock in here, you can emboss it and die cut it at the same time. It is very, very cool. We are not going to be using the dies today or the embossing folder, but I just wanted to share them with you so that you can see what that's all about. It is definitely a fantastic bundle. Now, I like to use this bundle when I'm making kind of all occasion cards, just a card to be able to send a note in. So, Seaside Wishes, I'm also going to be using the fourth from the smallest die from the Textured Notes dies. These are just fantastic rectangles. They have some patterns on the outside that give your card a real unique look. We're just using it for the rectangle. I've got Night of Navy ink, Balmy Blue ink. I've also got the adhesive back sparkle gems, which I love. They're kind of in copper, black, and silver. And I say kind of because you could kind of go along with gold here, but it's more copper. A blending brush, and then my essential tools. So collage stamping, we're going to start out by doing something very simple. I've just got a scrap here of cardstock, and I'm going to take my Night of Navy ink. And when you do the collage stamping, you just stamp a collage. It's pretty easy. You definitely, well, I shouldn't say definitely, but I like to choose a coordinating stamp set where I can use most of the images in it. You can also mix and match. Collage stamping is kind of eclectic, so you can do whatever you want. But I'm just going to take my Night of Navy ink here, and I'm going to stamp some of these sand dollars. And then I like to start with my biggest images first. That way you know that they're going to fit onto your layer. So I've got the sand dollars, I've got the starfish, and then I've got a little starfish in the Seaside Wishes stamp set. And I'm just gonna fill in with that. So now we've just made a collage of images, and there's also these little dots, kind of like sand dots, I like to call them. And I'm just gonna fill in some of this white space. Now, if you don't have a smaller image like this in the stamp set that you choose, you can definitely flick it with a marker to get that look in there. I'm going to clean this stamp off. I was kind of heavy-handed with it, and I've got ink all over the actual block. Okay, so this would be collage stamping. You could do this on a whole sheet. You could do it on a card front and then put a sentiment on it, add some twine or ribbon and some embellishments. And you've got a really cool looking background. You can also do it with multiple colors. I chose to stick with one color here today. What I wanted to come up with was just kind of a soft looking card that wasn't a lot of fuss. And I think I achieved that. So with my collage stamping, this is part of my online technique club for the month of April. I like to type up some instructions and then add a date to my little instruction sheet here that tells when my video is. And this is what I send out to my Technique Club members. Under this video, and then also on my blog in the right-hand column, you're going to find Online Technique Club. You'll find all the details for that club, but each month, everybody in the club gets a instruction sheet with the technique on it, as well as the card made with the technique. So it's a lot of fun. Okay, so here's what I decided to do. Let me move this out of the way because we didn't use blending brushes. We didn't use the other color of ink, and I'm going to show you what I came up with there. So what I've got here is a piece of printer weight paper, and I decided that I was going to cut a window out of the middle of it. And again, I'm using those textured notes dies, and I'm using the fifth from the smallest. I think I said fourth from the smallest before, but it's the fifth from the smallest. So I'm going to take that and I am going to add some temporary tape just to keep it in place. And I am going to run this through my embossing machine to cut this window out of the middle. And when I do that, I'm going to end up with the center, which I'm not using for this card, but here is my window, and I'm going to use that to do a little masking with the collage stamping technique. I'm going to bring in my cardstock layers here. You can always find all of my dimensions and still photos. Lots of good details on my blog at www.AStampAbove.com. And today is April 25th, so you're going to go and find that date on my blog, and you will find the card that we're going to make here, as well as pictures of other colors that I chose to use. So I've got a card base of basic white thick. This is 4 1/4 by 11. I've already scored it here at 5 1/2. I've got a sheet of, or a layer of Night of Navy that is 4 by 5 1/4. And then the layer that we're going to do our technique on is basic white 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So I'm going to go ahead and lay that down here on my piercing mat. This is a piercing mat. I cover it with printer weight paper, tape it on here, and this is what I like to use to stamp on to keep my desktop clean. And it's also got just a tiny give to it, which is really good for getting excellent images on your card layers. So I'm bringing this in as a mask because I think this is a neat technique to use with the collage stamping. I've made sure that my die was centered. So now this layer that I'm using for the mask is the same exact size as the layer of my white cardstock underneath. So I'm going to actually tape this down twice. I taped my cardstock underneath here. Now I'm going to tape my mask on here so it doesn't move around on me. I wanted a lighter color for this masking technique before I do the collage stamping. So I've got a blending brush with the balmy blue ink, and I'm going to come in and I am going to fill in this window with a light blue. I thought that would look like, that would be a nice color to use with the Night of Navy. And of course, it's fun to come up with these color combinations. You can mix and match, but you definitely want this color to be a lighter color if you're going to do this part of the card that I'm making, which is like a whole other technique. You have to be careful with this. This is a lightweight printer paper, so that's why I'm kind of holding it in place. You saw me just scrunch it. And I always wipe my blending brush off before I bring it to my paper a little bit. You can see me doing this. It's because I want this to be a real nice, consistent color for my blending. And if I would bring my blending brush right to my cardstock, it would leave some blotches, and that's not the look that I want to go for here. Sometimes that's the look that I want to go for, but not this time. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove this because I want some of my stamping that I'm going to do to be the outside of my masked area. And the first thing I want to make sure is going to fit in here is my sentiment, which says, "Your friendship is the best gift." And we're going to bring that Night of Navy back in here. And I am going to stamp that right outside of my masked area because I think that's just a really unique look. Then I'm going to bring one of my images, the large, or this is the smaller of the two sand dollars in this set, And I'm going to stamp this right over here, also going beyond my masked area. Now I'm going to bring my mask back in. I want everything else to be within the rectangle window that I'm going to stamp. So we'll get this laid down. I'll use that sand dollar again, just kind of for a partial image right here. And then I'm going to bring in my large starfish, and I'm going to fit that in here as best I can. And then my little starfish. And we're going to just stamp right on the edges in the middle. And now that little, sand pebbles, that's what I call this one. And I'm just going to bring this in here and fill in some of these blank areas. I just think that adds a real neat kind of texture without adding texture, if that makes sense. Some of that in here. Ooh, I got heavy-handed again with that block, so I'm glad we're done with that for a little bit. Okay, now let's see the reveal on this. Wow, right? I really, really like this look. Now make sure your fingers are clean so you don't smear any ink on your white layer. I'm going to stamp the inside of my card just a little bit. I firmly believe that we should not have naked insides of cards. We have all the tools to make those fancy too, so let's do it. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to, let's see, I think I'll stamp the sand dollar. Whoops, hang on, I've got things sticking to me here. The sand dollar right down here in the corner. And then maybe a little starfish right up here. I like that. Just a little something. I'm also going to grab an envelope because like we shouldn't have naked insides, I don't think we should have naked envelopes either. So let's just stamp everything. If there's a surface, it should be stamped. How about that? I'm going to use the Balmy Blue here for my big sand dollar, which again is the smaller of the two in here. And then I think I'll use the Night of Navy with my little starfish. And I think that's going to look great with our card. Okay, let me get these closed up. I've got some other colors that I made too to share with you. And like I said, I wanted this card to be quick and easy. Not a lot of fuss going on. I want to keep it kind of like one of those clean and crisp cards. So you could certainly add ribbon and all, and a label with your sentiment on it if you wanted to. I think I've seen some of the samples that are in this blog hop today. Did I mention this is a Totally Techniques blog hop? So when you guys are done watching my video, you're going to click on the little image that pops up in the top right corner. Head to my blog where you're going to find some other cards made with this technique. So I'm grabbing my adhesive backed sparkle gems, and because this is a cool color, being the navy blue, I decided to go with the silver sparkle gems to embellish and keep it again clean and simple looking. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love this. What do you guys think? You will find details from my Technique Club right under this video, as well as on my blog in the right-hand column. Oh my gosh, I love it. Isn't this classy? It's just classy. And again, I left it empty on the inside without a sentiment because I can send this to anybody for any reason. Now, here's another sample that I made. On this one, I used a crumb card base. And I've got crumb cake for my masking window. And then I used pecan pie for my images here. And I turned it so that it is horizontal versus vertical. I use those copper sparkle gems, which are in the pack with the silver and black ones. Love these embellishments. And then I did something a little different on the inside. Isn't that fun? Oh, and pecan pie for the layer behind my white. And then I've got one more here to share with you that I made up. This again uses a crumb cake card base. And I used crumb cake ink, but look how different the color is. It looks kind of orange or peachy. And the reason is my blending brush was dirty when I started using it. But this was supposed to be crumb cake with early espresso for my images and my sentiment. And then I used the black here because this kind of looks a little black with early espresso layer behind it. And again, something a little different on the inside. And then I had one more sample that I didn't finish yet. And I thought I'd try this out on colored cardstock. So I used Petal Pink with crumb cake and then the early espresso again. So you can decide how to mix and match. Again, this technique, you could put your images in all different colors. You could, I thought another one that would be really fun for this particular technique would be this elements of text in the background if you use like a whole sheet for your technique layer. But these would be really cool with images, whether it's seaside images or flowers or, you know, any type of image will work for this. So you guys, thank you so much for joining me for this cards. If you have any questions or you need to get in touch with me, you can reach me at kelly@AStampAbove.com. And also we have a brand new catalog coming out that goes live on May 6th. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you live in the United States, I would love to earn your business. You can pop me an email again at kelly@AStampAbove.com with your address and I'll send you a catalog. Any questions, let me know. Please make sure you click up here to head to my blog. You're going to scroll down past my pictures. You're going to see a list of other Stampin' Up! Demonstrators from all over the world that are part of the Collage Stamping Totally Technique blog hop today. So go see what they made. They've got some really pretty projects out there. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You don't want to miss any other great projects that I have coming out. And just a little sampling of some of my techniques. We did a rubber band technique with this card. It's part of my technique club. Isn't that fun? I've got a spotlighting technique here that was really fun with an instruction sheet. And then a few months ago, we did debossing with blends technique, which was really cool. And then check out this adorable Easter card. This is from last year. I actually took the dies and I made my own stamp with fun foam. So, and that's what stamped the chevron technique here. So lots of great techniques to share. I love being able to collect all of these techniques and I just keep them in an old stamp case. We've got some great ones here. It's always fun to be able to refer to these when I'm ready to start designing cards. So I have something to fall back on to spark my creativity. Okay, you guys, have yourselves a great weekend and thank you again for joining me. Bye-bye.